As the flowers rest on the decorated graves, and the sunlight shines on the beautiful sailboats, Uncle Sam whispers in my ear
about how we should care for the soldiers
and remember the ones
that have died.
Swimming pools open, barbecues fried. Today is the day to think of what they have done for us.
There are blurs of red, white, and blue,
marching down the street and flags lowered at half-mast. But we should always remember and never forget what set us free from this very day on.
Love you, Dad.
I love you, brother. Get home soon.
It is a steamy Memorial Day Sunday in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. On this Memorial Day, we say thank you to those that have served, are serving, and will serve for the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. We have a little baseball here today. The Colorado Rockies and the Cincinnati Reds. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. We hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. All right, yesterday, the Reds did something, Chris, they have not done pretty much the entire year, and that's when they get guys on base, they find a way to get hits and to knock them in, and with a win, they're a game and a half up in the Central Division.
Well, you're not kidding about that. Finally, Dusty Baker, has for a long time wanted to have a blowout kind of a win where he didn't have to watch his ball club go right down to the last couple of at-bats and determine whether they're going to win or not. You see the numbers we're showing you right there. That's batting average with runners in scoring position up until last night. They were not getting it done. They did big time last night. You put those kind of numbers on the board, you send a lot of people home happy, and the Reds trying to defend their spot in the division right now.
So today is the pivotal game of this series, being the rubber game of this series after Colorado won the opener here on Friday night. And today you see something that, quite honestly, you can watch baseball for over 100 years, and only 2 or 3 times ever would you see a 49-year-old pitcher start a game, and that happens in Jamie Moyer.
Well, it does. He's a guy that broke into the major leagues in 1986. That was the first year that Barry Larkin broke into the major leagues. So he is still pitching in his 25th season. He's had over 600 starts, 269 career wins. But for Jamie Moyer, it's been a downward spiral so far this year. He's got to figure out how to start getting hitters out. But in the meantime, we're just going to enjoy this old guy taking the mound and going against a young guy who, by the way, wasn't even born when Jamie Moyer made his first major league start. Matt Latos has pitched the ball very well lately. He's coming off a good outing against the Atlanta Braves. This is a matchup of a very hard, young throwing right-hander against an aging left-hander that really is throwing the same kind of baseball that he has ever since he broke in.
When we return, we will celebrate this Memorial Day Sunday with you at Great American Ballpark. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. In 175 countries and ships at sea around the world, and throughout today's game, we'll be bringing you a handful of Reds players remembering those who have sacrificed their lives to protect the United States of America.
Marine Lance Corporal Adam Peake was supporting combat operations in Afghanistan when he lost his life. The Florence, Kentucky native and graduate of Thomas More College was on patrol when he stepped on an improvised explosive device. Today, I remember Lance Corporal Adam Peake.
Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Cincinnati USA, let us be your travel guide. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili today. Great American Ballpark, good crowd on this Memorial Day Sunday. Hope you and yours are having a terrific weekend. Reds trying to win this series against Jim Tracy's Colorado Rockies in his starting lineup. Presented by AXA Advisors, has Eric Young Jr. in center. Marco Scutaro at second, Carlos Gonzalez in left. Tulowitzki, Jason Giambi, and Michael Kadire the middle third. Jordan Pacheco, Willeen Rosario, and Jamie Moyer the latter third. Facing Reds right-hander, looking for win number 4, Matt Latos.
Well, with a win today, Matt Latos would equal his career win-loss record to 31-31. Right now he sits at 30-31. This is making his 82nd start of his career, 10th for the Reds so far, and he's been very good lately. In fact, he's not lost since April the 18th. He's 3-0 and with 3 no decisions over his last 6 games. So Latos, after he got out of the month of April, beginning to throw the ball much better, as his career statistics will show. When he left the ball game his last inning against the Braves, he was still throwing at 95 miles an hour. So you, on a blazing day here in Cincinnati, you hope that Latos has his blazing fastball.
Take a look at the Reds on defense, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Behind Latos, Ludwig getting the start. He clubbed a pinch hit home run here last night. Todd Frazier back in the lineup. He did not start at third base last night with a battery of Latos and Ryan Hannigan. While it is very, very warm and temperatures with the humidity expected to climb into the mid-90s, for a better part of the morning in this early afternoon, we have had enough cloud cover, Chris, where you're not getting beaten down on by that sunshine.
You're right. Actually kind of comfortable out here. Once you acclimate yourself to the humidity, if you dress right, you know, wear shorts, T-shirts, whatever, come out here and enjoy a nice ball game. But you know, from the Reds standpoint, they're thinking about the win, not the weather. They like to get this series. They've been so good at winning series. After you lose the first game, they need 2 in a row. That's what they have to do here this afternoon to continue their hold on first place.
Gain another game on the Cardinals, who have been handled 3 straight days by the Philadelphia Phillies, with 1 more to go in that series in about an hour. There's strike 1 to Eric Young Jr., and we're underway. Chris mentioned that last outing for Latos, 7 strong innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. He only walked 1 while fanning 8 in a win over the Atlanta Braves. In the month of April, 5 starts for Latos, the ERA of nearly 6. He had 4 starts here in May, and this will be his final one this month. A 2-0 record with an ERA of under 2.5.
Of course, with Matt Latos coming over from the Padres, their Western Division, just like the Colorado Rockies, so he's seen this Rocky team a fair amount. There are the numbers that you're talking about. April and May, earned run average way better here in May. He's pitched the ball a lot better, and that can be same said for his whole career. I don't know why, but Latos is one of those guys that just a little bit of a slow starter.
Latos, in fact, made 4 starts last season against this Colorado team. 3 of them were in Denver.
Yeah, overall, he's 3-2 against them, good earned run average. And if you take the composite batting average of the Rockies roster against Latos, it's not very good, right around 230.
The one consistent for Latos this year has been racking up a high pitch count in a very few number of innings. I mean, he's as good as his numbers are here in the month of May. He's gone 6 innings, 5 innings, 5+ innings before that 7-inning stint his last time out. And generally, right around the 5th inning, it's been his MO, where he's 95, 100 pitches in the game.
Well, it's at bats just like this that cause that. Eric Young is extending this at bat. It's a 2-2 count. Latos keeps firing strikes, but he hasn't found that put away pitch. You know, it really ought to be the goal of a pitcher, especially on a hot day like this. 3 pitches or less to every batter. I'm trying to get this guy out. I'm going to attack the zone. And this Rocky team is a very aggressive team offensively. They don't sit back and take a lot of pitches. They're good hitters on the fastball. They jump on first fastballs that they see. You want to keep pumping in strikes.
Fly ball down the left field line, and that one is unreachable for Ludwig. So here we go again, an extended at bat for a Colorado Rocky. And you know, we heard so much about the Rockies batting only .222 on the road coming into this series. Well, they have not been kind to the Red starters. Cueto, 4 2/3, 11 hits and 5 earned runs. And in here last night, Leak only 3 2/3 innings, 9 hits, and miraculously only gave up 3 runs. So pitch number 8 to the leadoff man, Eric Young Jr., is on the way from Latos. And another foul ball.
You know, if you look at the numbers on Eric Young Jr. doesn't show you that he's the kind of guy that'll rack up a lot of pitches in any particular at bat. He averages about 3.7 pitches per at bat this year. That's not all that many, but he has figured out a way to spoil a lot of good ones here against Latos.
In the air, shallow left center, and Drew is there for out number 1.
Well, if part of the leadoff man's challenge is to go out there, and his duty is to go out and try to show his teammates what that pitcher has on a particular afternoon, I would say that Eric Young, even though he makes a first batter out, did that for everybody on that bench and on the third base dugout. 9 pitches it took to get him out.
Strike 1 of the second baseman Marco Scutaro. Reds piled up 10 runs last night on 12 base hits. They hit 3 home runs. 3-run homers by Heise, his first of the year. A 3-run pinch hit home run by Ludwig, the Reds' first pinch hit home run this season. And Devin Mesoraco hit his second home run on this homestand. On the ground of Votto, so quicker work of Scutaro than Young, and there are 2 out. Carlos Gonzalez hitless in 4 at-bats here last night. In fact, Reds pitching struck him out 3 times. Leake got him once. J.J. Hoover got him. And Sam LeCure, boy, did LeCure look good last night. The entire bullpen again is just lights out.
I mean, every time Dusty Baker picks that phone up to warm somebody up, the guy brings in seems to throw up a 0. It's just uncanny how good that bullpen has been.
Well, the Reds are going to see the only team in the National League that, as far as earned run average is concerned, is better than this Reds bullpen. That'll be the Pirates. So they must be having a heck of a year, because we know how good the Reds pen has been. Pirates are 2 games under 500. They're playing at home in just a little while against the Cubs, going for the sweep of that series. It's lined right at Ludwig, and the inning is over. So it turns out to be a 14-pitch inning. 9 of them to the leadoff man. Reds coming up.
Marine Corporal Christopher Tyler Warndorf of Burlington, Kentucky, died August 29, 2006 in Iraq. Today, I remember Corporal Christopher Tyler Warndorf.
Dusty Baker's starting lineup for the first place Cincinnati Reds, brought to you by Axe Advisors. Cozart, Stubbs, and Votto to start it. Phillips, Bruce, and Ludwig in the middle. Todd Frazier, Ryan Hannigan, Matt Latos against the ageless wonder, 49-year-old left-hander Jamie Moyer.
Well, he's won a couple of games already. Jamie Moyer has. In his career, he has won more than a couple. 269 wins to be exact, against 208 losses. He's made 637 starts. Looking to make it an even 270 today with a win for the Rockies. And you know, the interesting thing about Jamie Moyer, he pitches nearly the same way right now than when he broke into the major leagues back in 1986. He was never an overpowering pitcher. He never racked up a lot of strikeouts. He was always around the plate, changing speeds, getting ground balls, and here he does that with the leadoff man.
Moyer ranks 16th on Major League Baseball's all-time games started list. Chris mentioned it, A638. 39th on Major League Baseball's all-time innings pitched list, over 4,000 of those. And he needs only 9 more starts to tie Tom Seaver for 15th on the game started list. He's won 269 games. And needless to say, he leads all active Major League pitchers in wins, starts, innings, and strikeouts. Well, it's easy to say what you shouldn't do, but what should you do if you're a Reds hitter today against Moyer?
Well, I think you move up in the batter's box because it's very tough to wait on everything. His fastball's coming in there not even 80 miles an hour, so he's not going to jam you. You know, and you may even want to get up on the plate to try to shrink the strike zone because he's going to try to feather that little pitch, whether it's a changeup or fastball, away. So he's going to have all those right-handed hitters looking away, and as you look away as a pitcher like Moyer, what he can do is once that guy starts looking outside, you can move that pitch a little bit further outside and then even a little bit more outside. So pretty soon you get those right-handed hitters chasing balls that are 4, 5, 6 inches away. When he comes in, it'll be for show.
When Moyer made his first pitch in his first start this year, there's only one pitcher ever that has been older and made a major league start than he was. That was Satchel Paige. Here's a ground ball to short for out number 2. Satchel was 59 years old when he started for Kansas City back in 1965. Colorado defensively, presented by your Ford dealers. It has not been a pretty series on defense. Pacheco, a huge error at third base here last night. Jason Giambi, his first start of the series. And Rosario back behind the plate after sitting out yesterday. Here's Joey Votto, red hot. 4 hits 2 nights ago. Last night, came back strong and swinging a hot bat again. At 2 hits, was on base 3 times. It's the first time this year that Votto has had back-to-back multi-hit games this season, and that one is launched into right center field. 1-0 Cincinnati.
Votto, you know, is going to make an adjustment on the spot. He fouls the ball down, but look how he moves up in the plate right there. A very interesting thing Votto did. He started out deep in the batter's box, and as that pitch was coming, he moves up in the plate like he's going to get a running start on it.
You just said that.
Again, I thought it was very interesting that he waited until the middle of the pitch to do that. That was probably something he kept to himself. Maybe he told a couple of the other guys, watch him down here move his feet. Right here. There he goes. Get a little running start on it. Nothing wrong with that.
You know, when you made that point about what they should do and guys moving up in the box, and you and I have talked about this many, many times. You know, back in the 60s, 70s, and even early 80s, you'd see a lot of players do that. When it came out of your mouth a moment ago, I thought to myself, the only guy who has a chance of doing that in this lineup today will be Joey Votto.
Well, you're probably right. I mean, he's the one guy that adjusts better than any other player on the team, maybe in the league. But it may be some guys just don't feel comfortable doing
that's
that.
what I mean.
If you've been in the back of the batter's box ever since you've been 14 years old, and then all of a sudden in one game they say, hey, why don't you move up? You're going to think, hey, I'm in uncharted territory. I don't feel comfortable up there. I don't like it. And if you don't feel comfortable or confident, you're not going to do any good. But I'll tell you, Tom, you know, having pitched back in the era when Jamie Moyer broke in, you would see guys make adjustment in the batter's box from at-bat to at-bat. One time they're deep in the box, next time they're up on top of the plate. One time they're way up front, next time they're way away. All trying to set you up a little bit.
Fly ball, shallow right, Kadire there, inning over, but Joey Votto, take a look at this. Almost a walking start. And then liftoff. Time to take a look at our Elk and Elk storylines. Brought to you by Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio. 12-3 in series finales, 9-2 on a getaway day. They're 7-0 on Sundays after beating the Yankees last week. But Chris, far more importantly, look what they have done in overall series. Their only series loss in the last 11 they have played was that weekend against Washington on the last homestand.
That's what it's all about. I mean, that's what Dusty Baker has emphasized from the very beginning of the year. You win series. You know, you're going to have streaks. You're going to have losing streaks. You want to minimize those. You're going to have winning streaks, obviously, like the Reds had. before they had 6 in a row before it was finally broken.
In the air left field, drifting back is Ludwig, and that will fly out of here on this hot, humid day. Boy, it didn't look like he got all that, but it's a home run for Tulowitzki, and we're tied at 1.
Well, Tulowitzki's a big, strong guy. And he doesn't have to hit it perfectly to hit it out of here, that's for certain. Same thing goes in Colorado. When you get the ball up in the air there, you hold your breath. And you know what you hope happens here, that's a hanging breaking ball big time. But what you hope happens here for Matt Latos is that he doesn't look at that left field wall and say, man, that ball went out of here. I better be a little bit more concerned about coming in on these guys. This is when you have to pitch inside more than ever.
In the air to Stubbs, and that's out number 1 here in the 2nd inning.
That slow-mo replay, by the way, of the swing of Troy Tulowitzki. Performance Honda brought us that.
Tulowitzki's home run track in the estimated 368 feet, 26 feet.
So Giambi retired, and here's Michael Kadire. Kadire signing that 3-year deal during the offseason as a free agent after spending his entire career with the Minnesota Twins. And boy, they were devastated when he left the Twin Cities. They talk about the two guys that were the very heart and soul of those very, very good, sometimes great Minnesota teams. And both of them long gone, Kadire and the closer Joe Nathan. Nathan now cleaning things up down in Texas. Speaking of Texas, very quickly, how about Josh Hamilton again yesterday?
Yeah, walk-off home run.
His 20th home run and has 53 runs batted in. And we are on Memorial Day weekend.
And this is his walk year, right? Free agent year. If you're going to have a good year, you might as well pick it your free agent year.
One and two on Kadire, and Latos rocks, kicks, and fires, and it's in the dirt to even the count of 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Kadire's had some pretty big years for the Twins. In fact, he had one year in which he had 32 home runs. 2 other times had more than 20. So he's just a good, solid hitter, good player.
Boy, did he make an unbelievable throw here last night on what looked like a sure bet sacrifice fly, and threw Joey Votto trying to score from third base out at the plate. 2 out in the inning. One in, 2 out, and now it's Jordan Pacheco. Right now, he's the hottest hitter in the entire National League. At least he's carrying the longest hitting streak in the National League. Extended it to 11 games. He had 3 hits and 4 at-bats here last night. By the way, the 3 hits, a new season high for Pacheco.
He was tied with Josh Harrison of the Pirates, who Cincinnati kid. I guess Harrison must have had his streak broken yesterday.
That was another late win for the Pirates over the Cubs. And there's a broken bat roller. Cozart the throw. What a slick play by Cozart. Tulowitzki's home run ties the game at 1 after an inning and a half. Solo home runs. Votto in the Reds' first inning. Tulowitzki in the Colorado's second inning. So Jay Bruce, Ryan Ludwig, and Todd Frazier against Jamie Moyer here in inning number 2.
I wonder if Jay Bruce will take upon the same approach that Joey Votto did, running up in the batter's box a little bit just to make sure that he doesn't get fooled on the timing of a pitcher throwing so slow.
High fly ball Well, same result as Joey Votto. And how about Jay Bruce? Maybe the worm is turned.
Well, a breaking ball right there that he hangs low and inside, and Jay Bruce, struggling or not, puts a good swing on that ball, keeps his head on it, stays closed, and bye-bye baseball.
Bruce snapped a 0 for 14 skid with an RBI double against Jeremy Guthrie in the third inning last night. And that is home run number 11 for Jay Bruce, his first since the 8th of this month, when he homered in Milwaukee. Jamie Moyer, by the time he was 30 years old, had been cut by 3 different teams. In fact, it had gotten to a point where he was offered $12,000 a year by the Cubs organization to work as a part-time pitching instructor, and he decided to go be the closer at AAA Toledo in the Tigers organization. That one is hooked foul. He missed all of last year, you may remember, following Tommy John surgery. As recently as 2008, he had 16 wins, won a World Series with Philadelphia.
Well, you got to respect Jamie Moyer, though, so much. How hard is it to stay in the major leagues for 5 years, much less 25 years, and really never having the kind of stuff that a general manager says, man, we're going to get this guy, and he's got unlimited potential. He came to the major leagues as a soft-throwing left-hander. He only had 1 season, I think, in his entire career where he's given up fewer hits than innings pitched, which is one of the big barometers that you go by when you judge pitchers and their ceiling and so on.
Well, we talked about the man that he's opposing on the mound today was not even born yet when Moyer made his first career start for the Chicago Cubs against the Philadelphia Phillies at Wrigley Field. And boy, you talk about a twist of fate. In his major league debut, he was pitching against his boyhood idol. Moyer grew up in Pennsylvania and grew up idolizing Steve Carlton. And that's who he beat in his major league debut.
I bet if you ran the name Steve Carlton by all the 25 Reds players, you'd probably find 5 of them who'd had never heard of him before.
Now you're talking about, you know, one of the, 3, 4 greatest left-handers in the history of the game. Popped up. Shallow center field off the bat of Frazier, and that's the first out here in the Reds' second inning. You know, to bring everything full circle, and for those of you that saw the game last night, Jamie Moyer was kind enough to join us during the telecast from down in the Colorado dugout. I had read a story, and we asked him if it was true. Now, to give you an idea about how this guy is always his mind continuing to want to learn more and more about pitching. In 2009, when the Phillies were in the World Series against the New York Yankees, Steve Carlton was throwing out the first pitch in Game 4. The game was in Philadelphia. Jamie Moyer wanted to be the catcher for that first pitch before the game. Well, they were sitting around about 45 minutes before the game. Moyer was not pitching that night, and he's hanging out with Carlton. And they start talking about Carlton's slider. And Moyer was asking him to show him how he threw it and actually used it the 2010 season as part of his arsenal.
Well, if a guy like Moyer can continue to learn at age 40 or 49, that ought to be a lesson to some young guys that are sitting around. Some of these guys come up and because they've read their own press clippings feel like they know everything. It's a great model to model yourself after right there. Even that look. He's got that 80s look right here with the socks. You don't see those stirrups anymore, do you? I think they're hard. Nice. I don't even think you can go to a sporting goods store and find them anywhere.
Double play ball here, and that will end the Reds' second inning off the bat of Ryan Henning. But Votto in the first, Bruce in the second. Long balls to put the Reds in front 2-1. Well, a little reminder, as you enjoy a cold one on this holiday weekend, you'll look forward to Miller Time coming up later in our game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Cheer on the Reds. They'll take on the Tigers in interleague play Sunday, June the 10th, 2 weeks from today. And take advantage of the Moyer family deal. When one member of the family purchases a full price ticket, they give the option to buy 3 additional tickets at half price. Plus, on Sunday, June 10th, the first 8,000 kids 14 and younger get a Drew Stubbs die-cast toy car presented by Tri-State Chevy Dealers. Sundays are family days right here at the ballpark. 381 Reds for tickets, or visit Reds.com. Very, very warm here at the ballpark today, and the Reds have set up areas all over at every level where you can go in, you get free water, ice. They have misting stations in multiple locations to give you a chance to, find somewhere to cool off for a little while. Today you need them.
We always get days like this in Cincinnati anyway throughout the summer. Sometimes you get a week or two of hot, humid weather, but it usually comes in late July or August. Memorial Day just a little bit early.
Pauline Rosario quickly behind 0-2. Latos has only allowed 1 base runner. That was a home run by Tulowitzki into the first row of over the left field wall, leading off the second inning. Whoa, pretty good pitch right there.
Now they got a breaking ball in after seeing a fastball. You see where Hannigan is, laid it right on the outside corner. Strike 3, says Jerry Meals.
The other thing about Moyer, we're talking about all these things he's done as a pitcher. Bear in mind, when he knocked in a couple of runs with a base hit earlier this season, he became the oldest player ever to knock in a run in a Major League Baseball game.
That would be a great trivia question. Too bad you just gave the answer.
Well, then you ask the question, who held the record? And it wasn't all that long ago, brother. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
There's a swing. Veteran move right there. See that little dip to the left and then move to the right?
I did. I've seen you do that out on the dance floor.
Actually,
right up here in the booth being the dance.
I have done it here in the booth. Not intentional, but nonetheless did it.
We have those Irish dancers coming in, I believe, on the next homestand. I'm quite sure of it, in fact. So you better tune up your game a little bit.
You know what? I'll be working on it on this road trip.
They teach a lot of Irish dancing, do they, down in Houston, Texas?
Well, you do it in your room. You call up on YouTube, crank it up to your, put your speakers in there and pull the carpet back and go to clacking.
Nice. Nice. Strike 1 to Eric Young Jr. He had a 9-pitch at bat his first time up. And ended up hitting a fly ball to Drew Stubbs in center field.
And we'll see if Matt Latos can strike out the side right here.
He'll take a quick out on a ground ball here. Save that energy and save that pitch count. And there's a tapper to Votto. Will he handle it himself or go to the pitcher? He feeds it to Latos, and that'll end the inning. So 1-2-3 frame for Matt. Reds lead 2-1. Sprint Cup Series racing with the Coca-Cola 600 live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That is in prime time, beginning at 5:30 Eastern tonight on Fox. Jamie Moyer making his team-leading 10th start of the year for the Colorado Rockies. Earned his way onto this pitching staff in spring training. And while 3 of the starters in the original rotation have either been hurt or sent back to the minor leagues, here you have the 49-year-old has not missed a start. Reds lead 2-1. And Latos hit on the left arm by that pitch up in the strike zone. Well, we almost had a winner earlier in the game for hitting that Toyota sign. If a Red player does it tonight, Alan Bernard from Cincinnati, a proud owner of a 2005 Prius, will win the beautiful new Tundra here at the ballpark and register for your chance to win at an upcoming game. Stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Zach Cozart showing bunt. And it's a strike. He offered in the pitch. Cozart grounded out to Scudero, the second baseman, his first time up. In the air for Giambi in foul ground, and he has room.
Well, Jamie Moyer, you know, we've told you the year that he's broken in. That was in 1986. When he made his first start against the Cincinnati Reds, it was in August. Moyer pitching for the Cubs. He beat Teddy Power in a ball game. He went 5 2/3 innings on August the 26th, 1986, or 22nd, 1986. He gave up 8 hits, did not give up a run in that ball game. He walked 5 and did not strike out a batter. And his lines, that's pretty much his pitching line throughout his whole career. Gets a lot of those.
Really ran it up and in on Drew Stubbs, who pops it up.
You know, it just goes to show you, if you're a young pitcher sitting at home watching this ball game, and you're watching Jamie Moyer, and your coach has told you, hey, you got to pitch inside. And every time you try to pitch inside, you overthrow it, and you try to throw it as hard as you can. That pitch inside that just jammed Drew Stubbs was timed at 79 miles an hour. And let's face it, if Jamie Moyer goes to tryout camp, he doesn't even get a second look.
Votto homered off Moyer to right center field in the first inning. Stay away from him on the first pitch here. Ball 1.
So in that game against the Reds that he pitched, he beat Teddy Power. Ron Davis got the hold in that game for the Cubs. Ron Davis is the father of Ike Davis, the first baseman for the Mets right now. Lee Smith picked up the save in that ball game. Barry Larkin got a base hit off of him in that ball game. Tony Perez was in the lineup. And the Reds bench coach, Chris Spire, was playing third base when Moyer was pitching that day. And Spire's been a coach for at least a dozen years.
Oh, longer than that. And look at the body on it.
In good shape.
They talked about it yesterday. Talked about how, you know, it's one thing to go out and run. He'll do that. He said it's another thing to get in the weight room, and he'll do a little bit of that. But he said he's convinced the most important thing he has done all these years is go through rehab in the offseason like a player would as though he were injured. You know, using those rubber bands and using a lot of the lighter weight techniques that they would get you to do if you were coming off elbow surgery or shoulder surgery.
You know, that's a really interesting point, because a lot of guys come back after Tommy John surgery throwing harder.
Into center field, and look at Latos. He's going first to third on a base hit by Votto.
Votto looked like he almost slowed his swing down that time to kind of guide the ball right back through the middle, like a tennis player tries to guide the ball down the baseline. Usually you see him like rip it through the strike zone. That time he just kind of feels his way through that zone.
So they're on the corners, 2 away for Brandon Phillips. He flied out to Kadire in right, ending the first inning. Reds trying to add to a 2-1 lead with a 2-out hit. That one's in the air to left center field. Tack on 3 more for the Redlegs.
Phillips picks on a curveball right there, and he was very patient. He waits for this ball to break. He stays right on it. And another good look at that slow motion. Beautiful swing by Brandon Phillips, brought to you by Performance Honda. A 3-run bomb. I like it.
Bruce homered his first time up. The Reds have hit a home run in each of the first 3 innings. And that's another category where Moyer certainly his name at the very top of the list in all-time home runs surrendered. 520 of them.
A lot of home runs in one homestand. Did you see that number? 16 home runs in this homestand. 4 games against the Braves. This is the 3rd game. We've got a lot of baseball left here against the Rockies. Better than 2 per.
That's the only way they were scoring for the entire Atlanta series.
Just to follow up on your point about Jamie Moyer, what he does in the wintertime to rehab. I mean, even if he's not rehabbing, he makes like he is rehabbing. A lot of guys go through Tommy John surgery. They come back next year, they throw harder. So people think it's Tommy John surgery that made them throw harder. That is not the case. It's actually the rehab, the work you put in that gets your arm in really the shape that it should be in. So when you do come back, you end up throwing the ball actually better than you did before. It's not the magic of the surgery, it's the magic of the work. And that's probably the only reason why Jamie Moyer is still pitching in the major leagues at his age.
Well, you see the number he wears on his jersey. It's what he'll turn his next birthday.
Well, he hopes to be in the big leagues. Unfortunately, though, for Moyer, the trend that he's had today has happened over here the last 5 games. He's been hit very hard the last 4 or 5 games. He's given up 22 runs in 25 innings coming into this ball game.
Struck out Bruce on a curveball to retire the side, but it was Votto in the first, Bruce in the second, Phillips in the third with 2 aboard. Reds lead 5-1. Top can for a smoother pour. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. Will be part of the 11th annual Subway Redlegs Run Saturday, June the 2nd. That's next Saturday. And you can fundraise for the Reds Community Fund, and by doing so be rewarded with Reds tickets, signed memorabilia, and so much more. It all benefits the Reds Community Fund. For more information, visit reds.com/run. Back-to-back 9-pitch innings for Matt Latos. Those are only the 3rd and 4th full innings of less than 10 pitches for him this year.
Well, like we commented on early in the game, Tom, that's should be your goal as a pitcher today. If you want to go deep into a ball game, you've got a couple of things working against you. Number one, the opposition, it's always there. But number two, the weather. And if it's hot and humid and you start running out of gas and your fastball starts slowing down because you've run your pitch count up early on, you're never going to get to that 6th or 7th or even 8th inning. And it's been proven so many times, maybe not this year in the case of the Reds because their bullpen's been so good, but the closer you can hand the ball to the closer, the better your chances of securing a win.
Popped up, shallow right center field. Jay Bruce is waiting, and that's out number one. Only one base runner allowed by Latos, and that was a solo home run by Troy Tulowitzki in the second inning. One away, and now Carlos Gonzalez. He hit the ball right on the nose. A pitch similar to that one. A fastball away from him and lined it right into the mid of Ryan Ludwig out in left field. And he's hit a long drive down the right field line. If it's fair, it's gone. It is fair, and it is gone. That ball clobbered by Gonzalez, and that makes it a 5-2 ball game. His 9th home run of the year.
Well, solo home runs, obviously, if the Reds have hit 16 in this series, Matt Latos has been around to watch every one of them, and he's got to know that it's just a fact of life in his ballpark. That pitch, though, to a left-hander down and in with a slider, that's a good wheelhouse spot for Carlos Gonzalez. And the 2 home runs that Rockies have hit so far this afternoon, both have come on breaking balls. One a hanger to Tulowitzki, and that one that kind of came right in the wheelhouse of a lefty there. Can't be shy about throwing it if you're Matt Latos. I mean, you just can't go back out there and just pump the fastball, nothing but. Just got to watch where you throw it.
One on Tulowitzki, 1 on, 1 in, or 1 out, 1 in, and the Reds with a 5-2 lead. We're in the top half of the 4th inning on this steamy Sunday afternoon at Great American Ballpark. Reds with a win today would end this homestand with a 6-1 record. A 4-game sweep over the Atlanta Braves to start it. Had the overall 6-game winning streak halted with a loss to Colorado Friday night before rebounding in a 10-3 win last night. They have a day game tomorrow, the first of 3 in Pittsburgh, an off day on Thursday, and then a 3-game series beginning Friday in Houston. It'll run through next weekend, and then Chris, you're back for a long homestand.
Well, you wonder if well, you see how the Reds are matched up against the best records in Major League Baseball since about the 19th of April. So it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Right now the Reds are rolling right along. How about the Orioles and the Indians? 2 big-time surprises in that group. And 2 purpose pitches in this at-bat against Troy Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki hit him for a home run on a breaking ball the first time up. So the first pitch of the at-bat up underneath the elbows. Then when it count ran 1 ball 2 strikes, Latos cut loose with a fastball, threw another one, and knocked Tulowitzki off the plate. It's a little matchup of gamesmanship going on right here. That's what Latos is trying to do with the fastball in, is to get Tulowitzki off the plate so he doesn't handle that breaking ball on the outside corner. But it's just so difficult nowadays to intimidate big league hitters. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Maybe if you throw 100 miles an hour.
Foul ball.
But, you know, nowadays with umpires calling for warnings after one guy gets hit in a game, you know, retaliation is no longer really part of the game like it used to be. You see some series from time to time. They're going through a series like that with the Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays right now. But for the most part, you don't see that. Beanball wars. Because a manager gets thrown out of the ball game, the pitcher gets thrown out of the ball game, and you just don't. Umpires seem to take control more.
Boy, that Tampa Bay Boston thing takes on a new meaning and a new spin, seemingly by the hour, since all of that began on Friday night. Latos will take care of Tulowitzki this time on the fly ball to Jay Bruce.
That last fastball by Latos measured at 97 miles an hour. Man, he was riding it right on up there.
So now Jason Giambi. Giambi, of course, a one-time American League Most Valuable Player. And was really one of the first players, if you will, to come clean about performance-enhancing drugs and his use of them. Well, back in those days with the A's, they had some good teams and they had some good players, and Giambi was the best of the group. Great eye at the plate. Good leader in the clubhouse. 0-2 the count. I mean, you know, we've talked about this, Chris, all the time. I mean, none of us agree with it. Nobody likes it. But the fact of the matter is there's an entire generation of players where a lot of them were doing that stuff. And it will be interesting to see as the years go by how Hall of Fame voters, and those are only the writers, nobody else, how they address really that situation in terms of who you put in and who you don't into baseball's Hall of Fame.
Well, there's some that have gone on record as saying they will not vote for a steroid user, period, anytime.
Ground ball down to Frazier, and his throw scooped out of the dirt. A nice pick by Votto. Home run in the inning by Gonzalez. The Reds lead Colorado 5-2. Today, Jamie Moyer leads all active pitchers with over 4,000 innings, who is second on the list. Give it a little while to think about that. Big swing and a miss by Ryan Ludwig. Reds have homered in each of the first 3 innings. Solo shots from Votto in the first, Bruce in the second, a 3-run home run by Brandon Phillips in the 3rd inning. Warriors hit a batter, walked a batter, and struck out a batter. Reds have 4 hits. Cardinals and the Phillies will be getting started in about 5 minutes from now. We'll keep you up to date on that one. Pirates all over the Cubs early. It is 3-0 in the second inning. The Cubs have lost a whopping 11 consecutive games.
But the way they lost that ball game last night, bases loaded, hit by pitch. Well, when you lose 11 in a row, you've exhausted every different way you can possibly lose a ball game.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Moyer got bruised in the 3rd inning. Reds fan Ruben Martin, a member of the 268th Military Police Battalion from Ripley, Tennessee. He just returned home from Kuwait and asked us to send along a happy Memorial Day wish to the rest of his military family. And great to have you back with us. Come for the Reds, stay for more fun. Visit Mighty Mike in Newport Aquarium, the biggest gator in the country. Make it a getaway weekend and book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. 1-1 to Todd Frazier. who popped up to Tulowitzki his first time up. That's in the air to left field, and that is going to fly out of here on a broken bat to the 5th row.
I don't think it was a broken bat. I think he threw the bat at the ball. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I think you're right, Chris. Looking at that bat out there, it doesn't appear to be broken. The bat boy has it now.
He had a big swing on the first pitch and came up empty. Here, this is a home run swing right here. That's the first time I've ever seen that.
On the ground, back up through the middle. Tulowitzki gets there. The pirouette and the throw pulls Giambi off the bag. I'm sure that'll be an infield hit. It is.
Well, Tom, I got to tell you, in ballet, it's called a pirouette. In baseball, it's a 360. I know you're a fine arts guy, so I'll give you.
I'm not that much of a fine arts guy, actually.
There it is. That's the 360. Now, if you want to tell Troy Tulowitzki he looked good at a 2-2, be my guest.
No, that'd be a little more up your alley, but I'll tell him that he might look nice in a, maybe in a special Nutcracker edition that we have, the great one here in Cincinnati. Come back in the wintertime and maybe have an appearance of some kind as Latos advances a runner with a bunt. I did go to a big fundraiser, though, for the ballet about, I don't know, a couple of months back. It's a fun event. Hey, look, we talk so much about our city. And if there is among so many great things, and the reason why all of us call it home, but if there is certainly among many an area that maybe more than any other stands out, it certainly would be the arts here in Cincinnati. Last year, there was a magazine that came out that said it was one of the top 10 cities in the world. There's a drive into right center field, and that's up against the wall. That'll bring in Hannigan on a double by Cozart, and the Reds lead 7-2.
Now, this is the kind of thing that has plagued Jamie Moyer his last 4 or 5 ball games. I mean, he gets to a point where the guys just begin to time it a little bit. They stay back on it. They drive the ball. And we've seen 3 balls use the yard, 1 up against the wall in right center field. And that brings us to Zach Cozart, safe at second. Safe and secure.
New York luck. Roller up the third base line, foul off the bat of Stubbs, who's hitless in 2 at-bats.
Well, speaking of the ballet and the fine arts in Cincinnati, at the season ticket holders luncheon just the other day, who was there but Carmen De Leon?
Oh, what a guy. What a guy.
The music director of the Cincinnati Ballet, he and his lovely wife there, big Red fans. And
had a chance to meet him on numerous occasions. And what a down-to-earth, just wonderful guy. Going away. 1 ball and 1 strike. How long has he been? I know you have a computer over there. How long has Carmen now been with the Cincinnati Ballet?
I'll check it out.
Check it out. Good man.
He and his wife Kathy having a great time listening to Joey Votto, telling some very funny stories.
Well, they're big Reds fans now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they watch a lot of the games. They listen. If they're not near a TV, they will listen to the games on radio. virtually every night. One and two the count on Stubbs. Runner at second base. 2 runs home. Reds have scored in every inning. 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third, and 2 more here in the fourth, and still batting. No activity in the Colorado bullpen. Much like the Reds, they have had to use it with such frequency that saw it with the starter last night, Jeremy Guthrie. For all, intents and purposes, he probably should have been gone in the third. And he lasted 3 more innings than that. And the Rockies are going back home where they're going to play 13 of their next 16 games at Coors Field. And boy, the taxation possibilities on a bullpen in that ballpark. That's in the air to left field. Gonzalez with room, and the inning is over. But the Reds get a couple of more runs. We move to the 5th. After the Todd Frazier home run, tack on 1 more after that. 7-2 lead. Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Visit buyertoyota.com, and by AT&T, the nation's largest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Along the banks of the Ohio. A lot more boaters out this weekend. Holiday weekend, and a happy Memorial Day to all of you out there. And today we're on the Armed Forces Network as we were on Friday and Saturday. And again, we say thank you to all of those who have served, that are serving, and those of you that will serve. The United States of America. We can't thank you enough. And God bless you all, and be well. Michael Kadire to be followed by Jordan Pacheco and Willeen Rosario here in the Colorado 5th. Reds with a 5-run lead for Matt Latos. Straight away center field. Stubbs will watch it fly, and boy, the ball is flying indeed today. That went off the black batter's eye on the lower level of the Cincinnati Bell pilot house out there. And that makes it a 7-3 game. 3 solo home runs for the Rockies.
Well, you can say it's the dimensions of the ballpark, but the fact is, if you take a look at the 3 spots of the home run pitches where the Rockies have gone deep today off of Matt Latos, they're all pitches that are very hittable. One decent one was down and in to Carlos Gonzalez, but he likes it down and in. That was a hanging, I guess that what you can't call it a hanging fastball, but it was right down Broadway for Kadire. Tulowitzki's was a hanging breaking ball.
So a 7-3 game. We still have a long way to go. It's only the 5th inning. It's 1 ball and 1 strike on Pacheco.
Well, the first thing we said really when this series started up, Tom, was that this Colorado team, even though they were struggling, they came off a win down in Miami prior to coming up here. But it's a team that can put some runs on the board. They may not pitch as well as the Reds, but they can score a lot of runs.
Roll it back to Latos. Good firm throw to Votto, and that's out number 1 in the inning. We'll get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game. We call it Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing here on Fox Sports Ohio. I mean, everything you need to get ready, including the Creepers checklist. That'll be coming your way tomorrow on Memorial Day.
I'm glad you amuse yourself with that. Somebody has to.
I've always loved the word sophomoric, and I like the behavior even better.
You got it down to a perfect science.
Thank you very much. You know, you haven't delivered the goods on that lately. I mean, it's part of our promo each and every day about the checklist, and I think you've only done it, a couple of times on this homestand.
It's actually been highly promoted and under-delivered.
Yeah. Line drive at Ludwig, 2 are out. And now the pitcher, Jamie Moyer, will indeed bat with 2 outs and nobody on.
You know, you see the ball fly out of here like it has today, and what Cueto had a couple of bad outings in a row, but what he's done over the last couple of years as far as earned run average, you consider the ballpark that you're playing in, where it just, I mean, Todd Frazier threw the bat at a ball and it went out of the ballpark for a home run. And you're pitching like Cueto has in a ballpark like that, and keeping your earned run average down under 2.5. That is just such an amazing thing to do. Now, there are some statistics out there that will take the ballpark into consideration. And of course, you're talking about a team right here in Colorado that really ought to have the same thing done for them, and they did for a long time. Mile high air in Denver allows that ball to go about 10% farther than it does at sea level. So there are statistics that take that into consideration. But man, oh man, I just think about what Cueto's done, being able to sink the ball, keep it in the ballpark. Very important thing to do.
Moyer struck out his first time up.
I'll tell you, their pitching must really be running on fumes right now.
Yep.
Because you're letting Jamie Moyer bat in the 5th inning, down by 5 after he's given up 7 runs. You know, it's kind of like when Moyer's out there, because one thing you can say about him, he does sustain his velocity. I mean, he starts at 79 and he finishes at 79. It's kind of like having a knuckleball pitcher out there. When do you take a knuckleball pitcher out? Certainly not when it stops knuckling, but when...
Well, normally when your catcher's worn out from chasing balls to the backstop.
Or your center fielder comes in winded.
That's exactly right. There's strike 3, and that will retire the side.
Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
All right, time to answer now our AT&T trivia question. Jamie Moyer leads all active pitchers with over 4,000 innings pitched. Who is second on that list? Chris, did you even have a guess?
I did not even have an answer. Oh, you know what? That's obvious. He was just in town here with the Atlanta Braves. Livan Hernandez.
That was a guy that Bronson Arroyo was talking about more than Jamie Moyer last night when Bronson joined us in the dugout. Talking about, you know, yeah, he wants to be like this Livan Hernandez. Still flipping him up there many, many, many years from now. Livan threw the ball pretty well. We saw him the other night. Joey Votto to be followed by Brandon Phillips and then Jay Bruce. Already a couple of hits today for Votto. This time they'll get him on the fly ball to center, 1 out. So now Brandon Phillips, he flied out to right field in the first inning, hit a 3-run home run to left center in the third. You know, we brought up at the beginning of this homestand that Brandon Phillips has been swinging the bat a lot better before the homestand began. But Chris, we pointed out that he had really not started to have any run production on a lot of those base hits. But my, oh my, how that has changed on this homestand. When it began, Brandon had 2 home runs and only 15 runs batted in. And now here we are. He's got double that number of home runs. 5 of them. And 23 runs batted in. So 8 on this homestand.
And really, when you start to factor in the last couple of games in New York against the Yankees, he picked up runs batted in each of those 2 of the 3 of the games in that series. You know, he's still not your quote-unquote prototypical cleanup hitter. I think in a perfect world, Dusty Baker would rather have him somewhere else in the lineup, maybe second, maybe even at the top of the lineup like he was early in the year. But until one of those other guys steps up and can be the cleanup guy, it's going to be Brandon Phillips. Right now, you can't hardly argue with the success the Reds have had from one-loss standpoint.
Jamie Moyer wondering who called timeout. I don't think Brandon Phillips did. Two and 2 to count on Phillips. High fly ball. This one will stay in the ballpark.
Well, let's take a little pitch-by-pitch look at this particular at bat with Jamie Moyer against Brandon Phillips. Nothing you're going to see is going to be overpowering. He went after with him with a breaking ball. There's a little fastball on the outside corner. Again, trying to feather the outside corner. Just staying away from him. Changing speeds a little bit. And finally gets the ball up and out over the plate, and Brandon pulls it to the left fielder.
Moyer is called pitching the ultimate truth or dare. He said, I love using the hitter's ego against them to get themselves out more than me getting them out. Obviously, he's had a hard time doing that here today, having given up 7 runs and 7 base hits. But golly day, if you were an organization when this guy finally does retire, whenever that might be, Chris, I would imagine that he will have a job somewhere very quickly if he wants to stay involved in the game of baseball with all the knowledge this guy could impart on an organization's young pitchers.
I don't think there's a question at all about that, Tom. The question is, does he want to spend more time in the game than with his family? Mm-hmm. And the other question is, will he be able to retire on his own terms? Or will he be like as what happened 10 other times in his career, whether he been released or granted free agency?
Straight away center field, and the inning is over. First time the Reds have been scoreless in an inning today. They lead as we go to the 6th, 7-3. History on June the 24th. That'll be the Reds Hall of Fame induction gala presented by CincyFavorites.com. Of course, Sean Casey, Dan Dreesen both going in this year. And if you'd like to be there Sunday, June the 24th, log on to redsmuseum.org or call 513-765-7921. Top of the order against Matt Latos here in the top of the 6th inning. The Reds with a 7-3 lead. 6 home runs have been hit in the game today. Solo shots for the Reds by Votto and Bruce. 7 home runs, I beg your pardon. Reds have hit 4. 3-run home run by Phillips and another solo blast by Frazier. Lost track of his. And the Rockies have 3 solo home runs. There's a bouncer down to Votto. And the other hand feed to Latos. in time in front of the head-first sliding Young. Jim Tracy was very complimentary yesterday of Eric Young Jr. He says, you know, this guy's not going to play every day, but, you know, oftentimes you're just content of being a backup player or a role player, and guys, when they get sort of, you know, cornered in that role, they stop trying to really improve. He said this young man is out there busting his tail every single day to try and find a way to get better.
Well, he's a hard-nosed player, and a lot of people will, exciting players anyway, will take that head-first slide into first base. It doesn't get you there faster, but what it does is gives you maybe a psychological edge to the umpire. Maybe not at the major league level, but it's been shown in high school and in college that a head-first slide, believe me, folks, I do not advocate it at all. In fact, I would discourage it if anything else. But there are college coaches that have gone on record as saying that they've encouraged some of their faster players on that head-first slide into first base. Actually gives the umpire the impression the guy gets there sooner than he actually does. Because what you don't have when you have a head-first slide is the sound that an umpire oftentimes calls upon to make a close play at first base. You'll hear the thump of the ball in the glove versus the foot on the bag, and that's sometimes how you call a guy safer out. When you go head first and you touch it with your hand, you'll hear that sound.
One and two on Marco Scudero's hitless in 2 at-bats. Has bounced to Votto and popped up to Jay Bruce. A much more efficient pitch count today for Latos than we have seen in the overwhelming majority of his starts. Talked about oftentimes he's been in the 5th inning with 90, 95, even over 100 pitches in some cases. But here we are in the 6th with 1 out and nobody on. And this is pitch number 74. And should be the 2nd out. It is. Well, pitches per inning.
And that's not a list that you really want to be on.
No.
Those are guys that have a hard time getting deep into a ball game because they throw so many pitches out of the strike zone. Latos was 4th in the league coming in today. That's bound to drop a little bit because he's been much more efficient here this afternoon. Sometimes the team you're playing against will dictate that number. The Rockies are very aggressive. They're up there hacking. Some teams up there, they sit back. They want to work the count. They don't feel like they're comfortable until they see at least 3 pitches.
Cardinals have scored 4 times in the bottom of the 1st inning, a 4-0 lead over Philadelphia. That's Roy Halladay on the mound today for Philly.
Boy, nursing around a very subpar season for Halladay this year.
Tell you what, though, Chris, I give that Philadelphia team so much credit. You haven't heard anybody whining and moaning and complaining about all the guys they have out, and Lord knows they have had more guys out than you'd know what to do with. Yet they've hung in there. They're 2 games over 500. They're only 4 games out of first place. And they're still hoping to have Ryan Howard and Chase Utley come back this year for them. Cliff Lee has not won a game. Kyle Kendrick finally got a win, a complete game last night, despite going 5 starts with an ERA in the 1s. Halladay not having a big year. But no whining, no complaining. Just go out and play. Gonzalez down the right field line, and he got him again.
That guy can hit.
Oh, he can.
I mean, he can really hit.
He's one of the top 5 players in the league, and he might be better than that. When you put the whole package together, power, speed, hitting for average, defense, throwing arm, I'm not sure there are 3 players in the league better than him.
Got another breaking ball. This time he got it up. You see the reaction of Ryan Hanigan when that ball was about halfway to the plate. He put his head down, his glove down to the ground, kind of slumped his shoulders, realizing that Carlos Gonzalez was going to jump all over it, and boy, did he. You know, Dusty Baker was saying before the ball game, when he has that scrum of riders in there and the press is taking notes, he was talking about how important it was for the Reds to score as many runs as they did last night, because in this ballpark, a 3-run lead is not much at all. And that's exactly where the Reds stand right now. One good thing that Latos has done is he just hasn't walked anybody. So if you're going to give up some home runs, they better be solo shots.
Well, the only base runners he's had in the ball game were the home runs. They have 4 base runners the entire game. And by the way, the 2 teams, and here we are in the top of the 6th inning, they've combined already for 8 home runs. That ties for the most ever in a game hit at this ballpark. It's the 4th time it's happened.
Souvenir Baseball Sunday.
Well, there's been no homestand like this one. It's knocking on the door for the most ever on a homestand, a 7-game homestand. 28 home runs have been hit on this homestand. 28.
And how many of those have been solo shots? Because normally I think solo shots consist about, what, 56 or 57% of all the home runs hit. I think it's more like 90% here in this homestand. Of course, they hit them with such frequency, you don't have a chance to get anybody on base.
Straight away center field. Stubbs is there, and the inning is over. Another solo home run. 2 in the game by Gonzalez. Reds lead by 3. Cincinnati Reds with the MLB.com at Bat 12 app. Text it back to 31826 or visit Reds.com for more details. After every Reds game, Reds Live, the post-game version. Brought to you by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Chris Welsh will be on the program today. Looking forward to that. Reds are jumping on the plane right after the game. It's going to be a quick turnaround. Going to feel like one anyway by the time, although it's a very short trip. As Josh Renicky takes over on the mound, it's only, what, a 45-minute flight?
Yeah, that's the one thing the Reds really enjoy being in this division. I mean, from a travel standpoint, you are closer to most every one of your division rivals than any other team really in baseball. The longest trip the Reds make in this division is Houston. They're out of the league after this year. Your 45-minute flight to Pittsburgh, 45 to Chicago, maybe 55 to St. Louis.
About an hour 10, hour 15, Milwaukee.
If that.
Yeah.
You can drive to them if you happen to miss your plane. You've been there.
I've been there. I have been there. I've never driven to Houston, though.
No.
I've driven that far, but just not for a Reds game to Houston.
Actually, it might be harder to drive once you get inside the city limits in Houston than it would be from here to the city limits.
Probably right. Wonder what way you'd go to get down there to Houston. There's ball 4 as Renicky walks the first batter he faces.
Probably southwest.
Jamie Moyer goes 5 innings. He allows 7 runs. All of them are earned runs. He struck out 2, hit a batter, and walked a batter, while allowing 7 base hits. Todd Frazier fouls it back out of play. This one a long way from being over. Chris just said it a minute ago. A 3-run lead in this ballpark. The way it's flying out of here on this homestand. 28 home runs have been hit among the Braves, the Reds, and the Colorado Rockies. Pacheco to the glove side. There's one, and that's a double play. Fly ball, short center field, and back to get it. Ball carried a little bit. And the inning is over. Reds lead 7-4. We go to the 7th. That have been hit on this 7-game homestand. The Reds have 17 of them. The 28 homers ties a record for a 7-game homestand in the history of the ballpark. 8 of them today ties a single game record. 21 of the 28 have been solo home runs. I love what Freddie Gonzalez said the other night. We talked about it on the air. You know, a lot of people from the Braves were whining and moaning and complaining about the ballpark, and you know, balls flying out of here every time you turn around. And Freddie Gonzalez interrupted somebody and said, hey, the last time I checked, they're not moving the fences back when we come to the plate. And when the Braves came in here on this series, they were the 2nd highest scoring team in the National League. And their run totals for the 4-game series, 1-3-1-3. Broken bat roller by Giambi finds Votto, and quickly 1 pitch and 1 out in the Colorado 7th. Reds with a 3-run lead, and Latos out there on the mound. The only 4 base runners he's allowed in the game. No walks, no other hits, 4 solo home runs. Nice play by Kozart. Stay with that ball, looking it right into his glove, and 2 are out in the inning. Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting, healthier products for your menu. JTM.
Boy, the more you watch him play, the better you think this kid is and will be. I mean, he just has such great presence out there. Takes his time, makes sure he throws the ball on the money to first base. I think whatever question marks people had about Zach Cozart, because he only played 11 games last year and the sample size was so small that you really weren't sure whether what you saw was really what you were going to get. He answered those in the first 3 weeks of the season this year. Now the bar of expectation is high on him. Leadoff hitter, playing in a Gold Glove infield.
On the ground to Phillips. And he throws to the first baseman, Joey Votto, for the final out of the inning. And a 1-2-3 seventh for Matt Latos. And the Reds will bat in the bottom of the seventh inning with a 3-run lead. And we'll keep it right here for the singing of God Bless America.
As well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all of our veterans of service, and welcome Senior Airman Kelly Perry of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base Band of Flight as she leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Ballpark, they will be taking on the Tigers in 3-game series June 8, 9, and 10. Sponsored by KOI Auto Parts. Got the Friday night fireworks, a Reds grilling set giveaway on June the 9th. Drew Stubbs die-cast toy car giveaway on Sunday, June 10th. So a great weekend with the Tigers in town. 381 Reds. Log on to Reds.com or stop by most Kroger locations. Latos a liner off the glove of Renicky, and then the second baseman Scudero is going to pick it up and throw him out. That ball's hit hard.
Having a good day, Latos says. He scored a run. Been dealing on the mound.
Cozart 1 out of 3 and an RBI double in the 4th inning. Reds have not had a hit over the last 2+ innings. Final inning against Moyer and 1 inning against Josh Renicky, back out there for his 2nd inning of work. During the entire upcoming road trip, we'll have every game except for Saturday night's game in Houston for you right here on Fox Sports Ohio. That game again next Saturday will be as last night's game was on the Fox network. And don't forget, tomorrow's a day game. Reds Live will begin with Jeff Picorro at 1 o'clock. And the game coverage with Jim Kelch and the Cowboy. Jeff Brantley will get underway at 1:30 Eastern Time. Night games on Tuesday and Wednesday. Reds Live 6:30 both nights. Then with an hour time change, Reds Live is at 7:30 on Friday night and 1:30 in the afternoon a week from today. That Pirate team, Chris, they have played pretty good baseball. A win today, and they're ahead of the Cubs 3-0 in the 5th inning. They would be just one game below 500. Now you can say, give me a break. One under, you know, it's not pretty decent baseball. Well, considering what expectations were, they're a lot better than that.
Oh, they win today, they'll be 4 games over 500 at home, and that's where they've really played very well. Reds are going to face some pretty good pitchers over there. James McDonald is the hard-throwing right-hander. He always throws the ball well against the Reds. Charlie Morton is a Reds killer. He throws that sinking fastball. The Reds have a hard time with him normally. And A.J. Burnett over from the Yankees this year will face Johnny Cueto.
Reds with an off day on Thursday. A hitless day for Drew Stubbs. Rounded to short, popped to center, and fly to left. All 3 of those at bats against the departed starter Jamie Moyer. They play 3 now at Busch Stadium, and Philadelphia does get on the board, getting ready to bat in the top of the 4th inning, and the Cardinals have a 4-1 lead. Mets 2-0 in the 7th over San Diego. Giants trying to avoid getting swept in Miami, leading in the 7th inning 3-1. I told you about the Pirates. Later on, it'll be Milwaukee in Arizona, Houston in LA, and Washington tonight against the slumping Braves. Well, the Braves were rolling. They had beaten last weekend Tampa Bay 2 out of 3. Came here and lost 4 straight, and they've lost the first 2 at home against Washington. Stubbs gone swinging, and that'll end the inning. All personal stories of some of baseball's great legends. And after the game today, that'll be coming your way, presented by Subway Restaurants, where winners eat, coming up this afternoon following our Reds Live post-game show. All right, Matt Latos has only given up 4 hits all day, 4 base runners all day. All 4 solo home runs.
Yeah, so when's the last time, and I asked Joe Luckup to look this up if he can, a pitcher has had a line like Latos? He's pitched 7 innings, given up 4 runs, but he's never pitched out of the stretch yet. Has he? He hasn't walked about.
No, he has not. He's not given up another base runner besides those home runs. One and one to count on Willeen Rosario. We'll have a pinch hitter next. Good sharp breaking ball down and away, swung on and missed. The producer of Reds baseball is Josh Hall. Our director Roy Alfers, Uncle Roy. Our tape AD Matt Sigafus. Technical director Anthony DeMarco. Pitch on the way, and it's hit off the end of the bat. Little roller down to first. Votto will handle it. Lauren White handling our graphics. I'd like to thank Jim Crow, Dick Moss, Ken Farney in audio, and Jesse Jackson. Our statistician up here, of course, Joe Luckup, and so many others. Will be giving you their names throughout the season. Bringing you Reds baseball right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Big happy birthday today to Liz Lewis, one of the great Reds fans. Her mother, Tina McGarry. You know Tina. Tina, boy, you talk about a hardcore Reds fan. But Tina's daughter, Liz, and her husband, Roland, come out to spring training when they can. And when they're both not working so hard, which they do, living out in Harrison, Ohio. And Lizzie, happy birthday. You're the best, honey, and we love you. Dexter Fowler coming up to bat for Renicky, who worked 2 scoreless innings with a couple of strikeouts. Fifth home run of the day for Colorado. Wow. And another breaking ball to another left-handed batter.
Well, you can see the frustration on the face of Matt Latos out there. He's probably thinking to himself, every time I've hung a pitch, the Rockies have been there to hit it out. And that will be it for Matt Latos. We'll take another look at it with our box tracks up. And Fowler just goes down and pick that ball up, and I think that's a changeup right there, not a breaking ball, but it's in the breaking ball family, being an off-speed pitch.
Well, Latos only allows 5 hits, and he'll get a nice ovation. You know, 5 pitches that leave the yard. Didn't walk a batter. Well, he's learning, Chris. There are light years difference pitching here at Petco Park in San Diego, brother.
There are easier ways to learn it than being out there on the mound, but he's living it.
Here's our skyline call to the pen, Jose Arredondo. 2 teams have combined to hit 9 home runs in a game, and this game is not over. Reds have 5 outs to try and nail down now with just a 2-run lead. 29 home runs hit on this homestand, another record that falls by the wayside during this 7-game homestand. 29 home runs. So now Arredondo, and he's facing Eric Young. Boy, he has really fallen in love with that splitter, hasn't he?
Well, you're not kidding about that. He'll throw a breaking ball too, Arredondo will, but for the most part, that off-speed pitch is a splitter. He'll change it a little bit depending on whether he's facing a righty or a lefty. I mean, you know, if nothing else, it talks to his confidence in his fastball, where you see that many off-speed pitches.
I mean, it's not like you're talking about some, you know, a poor fastball. I mean, we've seen the guy throwing it. There's a 3-1 fastball that looked up and away. It's ball 4.
Well, 2 things happen, Tom. One is your fastball command goes away because you're not used to releasing it right and driving it to the spot you want to in the strike zone. And number 2, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that last fastball was 90 miles an hour. Arredondo used to be able to throw in the mid to high 90s when he was with the Angels, and they expected him to get back to that same velocity when they signed him. And quite frankly, I see him velocity decreasing here the more he uses that split finger pitch.
Well, now all of a sudden the Rockies have a tying run at the plate. I mean, it has felt like, because the Reds scored 7 runs in the first 4 innings, that they were in complete command of this game. Well, the Reds have not had a hit in the last 3 innings. And meanwhile, the Rockies just continue to pack and pack and pack and pack, all on solo home runs. That walk a moment ago to Eric Young Jr. is the first base runner outside of their 5 solo home runs they have had in the game today.
Just goes to show you what a really crazy line Matt Latos had today. 7 1/3, 5 hits, 5 runs. Never once did he pitch out of the stretch.
And never once did Arredondo now for the second straight outing pay any attention at all to the runner. His last start here on Friday night, he balked a runner first to second, and then Gonzalez stole third, much like that, without even a throw.
Well, now you wonder, with one out, whether Gonzalez is maybe thinking about, or maybe Eric Young, that is, thinking about stealing third. He certainly has the wheels to do that. Nobody really holding him on. Now Brandon Phillips is going to shuffle over to try to shorten him up. But that line by Matt Latos, where he gave up 7 innings and 5 runs, 5 hits, all home runs. That's only happened similar to that one other time in Major League Baseball since 1918. It happened in 1999 when Kevin Millwood did it. 7 innings of 4 runs, 4 home run, no walk baseball for Millwood. So that's rarer than a perfect game.
Mm-hmm. Two and two to count now on Scudero. Waiting in the on-deck circle, you got Carlos Gonzalez, who's already hit 2 home runs in the game. I would imagine this is the only batter that Arredondo, well, we'll see. Gonzalez, a left-handed batter, and you have Sean Marshall cranking it up in the bullpen. See Aroldis Chapman now beginning to throw as well.
Well, he just doesn't want to throw that fastball over at all.
Two pitch and a ground ball back to Arredondo, and now he'll run. Oh boy, he goes to the shortstop and they don't get it out. You can't play it any worse than Arredondo did. Rather than running straight at the base runner, he committed to second, and a guy who runs like Young, you had no chance on the throw.
Well, you're exactly right, Tom. The thing that he needs to do there, and you've coached it. You are a youth coach. We've all been through youth baseball. You're taught when you get a comebacker like that and you get a runner hung up, you run right at him. You make him commit to where he's going to go. And he never really makes Young commit. Young takes a couple of steps towards second, and then he's able to get the third. There's no throwing lane open there for the shortstop to throw to the third baseman, so the throw is wide. And all of a sudden the Rockies, through a walk and a ground ball back to the pitcher, are going to bring the potential go-ahead run to the plate.
And I would imagine somebody's going to have a talking to for Arredondo. This is 2 outings in a row now where there have been 4 vapor locks on back-to-back batters. The balk, not paying attention to a base runner twice, and now this right here where you should have had an out. Instead, you're letting the go-ahead run come to the plate on a day where we've had 9 home runs hit in this ballpark. Back in a moment. You surprised he's coming in with 1 out in the 8th inning. He is the closer.
Well, he is the closer, Tom, and this is interesting because if Dusty Baker is going to use him not as a closer but as the hammer in the bullpen, that really starts a whole new philosophy that Dusty Baker is going to embrace in his bullpen. You got a guy like Aroldis Chapman out there, unscored upon as far as earned runs so far this year. He's had 7 runners inherited. He's stranded them all on base. So you're not using him as a closer. You're using him as the hammer, which I think is a great way to use the guy. Let's hope that he can get out of this inning right here.
Well, the Reds have a 7-5 lead. There are 2 on. Runners on the corners, 1 out. And Carlos Gonzalez, a batter. He leads Colorado in all 3 Triple Crown categories. One of only 3 players in the league to be able to say that. Now Scooter over at first. 5 stolen base attempts. Has made it 3 of the 5. Gonzalez has 2 solo home runs in the game, both of them to right field, both of them against Matt Latos. So now Aroldis Chapman coming to the plate. Gas up and in.
I'll tell you, I really think, though, Tom, with the running game in Chapman, you're either going to be picked off first base or you're going to get it standing up. Because you can't wait for him. He's got kind of a hanging move when he goes to first base, and he picked off a number of runners in spring training. But if you're really in a running situation, you just got to take your shot.
Threw it right by him there. One ball and 1 strike on Carlos Gonzalez. And here it comes. Threw a fastball up again. He chased it. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, if Chapman gets those hitters start to chase that fastball from the letters up, you're not going to touch him. Take a look at the 3 fastballs that he just threw by one of the better hitters in the National League right there. Up and in, up and out of the strike zone. That last one at 98 miles an hour. And that's why Dusty Baker brought him in.
Well, he got 1 huge out to get here. Troy Tulowitzki homer to left field in the 2nd inning has since fly to right and fly to center.
And I think it's the fact that Tulowitzki followed Gonzalez is the reason why you see Chapman in the game right now. Because if you brought Sean Marshall in, chances are he would have pitched to Gonzalez. And then Andrusik maybe, but they used him yesterday. They like to keep him a little bit more rest before they bring him back in. So eventually he was going to get to Chapman anyhow.
0-1 high on a fastball to Tulowitzki. Didn't miss by much. Boy, it's a huge batter. I mean, granted, not to say they can't get you in the 9th inning, but they'd have to do it from scratch. Here they've got the go-ahead run at the plate. They're one of the top 8-10 players in the league up there batting. Tardy on a fastball to even the count.
Well, from what we've seen of Aroldis Chapman the last few ball games, he's not even wasted his time throwing a breaking ball. So really not much of a guessing game out there for Tulowitzki.
Hardy again on the fastball. So now a chance for Chapman to extinguish the fire in his Colorado 8th. Good rip at that fastball.
The crowd is on its feet. They're smelling it.
Well, clearly Tulowitzki is thinking only one thing, the gas. He was on that last pitch. What does he do here again on 1-2? Swinging a foul ball out of play. Again, a 98-mile-per-hour fastball. That one a little lower in the zone. Two and two now on Tulowitzki. One-out home run by Fowler brought Colorado within two. That was all for Latos. Arredondo allowed a pair of base runners. Chapman fans Gonzalez. And now trying to do the same to Tulowitzki with a tying run at first base and 2 outs in the 8th. The easiest thing in the world to say is, oh, if he snapped off a slider right now, that Tulowitzki would literally spin himself into the ground. Because he's geared up for only one thing, and that's a gas.
Well, that's the easy thing to say, but there are a lot of other things that could happen right there. He could throw that slider because he's not thrown one in a long time, including today. 58 feet, bounce it to the screen, bring a run in, run the guy to second base, and still now then have a full count. And Tulowitzki, even though he's had some cuts at him, has yet to time it.
Well, he shook off Hannigan the first time and then said okay on the next one. Fly ball center field. Gas, gas, gas. And we're going to the bottom of the 8th. Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you in part by Cincinnati Children's, in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties in U.S. News and World Report's 2011 Best Children's Hospitals. And by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado and your tri-state Chevy dealers. Matt Reynolds, left-hander, takes over on the mound and trying to cool down Aroldis Chapman. He still has a 9th inning to go in this one. Reynolds allowed a 3-run home run here last night to Ryan Ludwig. That pretty much kicked the door down for the Reds when they came up with that 4-run 7th, taking a 6-3 lead into a 10-3 lead and a 10-3 win. Votto, a couple of more hits, 3 straight games now with 2 or more hits. And this one is driven into left center field and up against the wall to get it is Gonzalez. You're looking ahead of the Colorado 9th inning. They'll have Jason Giambi, Michael Kadire, and Jordan Pacheco, lefty, righty, righty against Chapman. Brandon Phillips hit a 3-run home run back in the 3rd inning and takes a change up on the outside edge, a strike. So a Nissan drive of the game.
Well, a rare home run in as much as there were a couple of guys on base when he hit it. Most of the home runs we've seen hit this homestand, all solo shots, but not the one by Brandon Phillips there on the first pitch that he saw, breaking ball.
There's a base hit by Brandon into left field. So the inning will continue for Jay Bruce. So now Bruce, who today is 1 of 3 at a solo home run in the second inning, has since struck out and fly to center field. And that's a balk on Reynolds.
Now that was the second base umpire, Paul Emmel, that called that balk. Not sure if they called it because he moved his leg before he started his motion, or he didn't step in the proper way. Hard to tell from our angle. Well, a few days ago called a balk in that game between the Tigers and the Indians. Ended up throwing out Jimmy Leland and the first base coach Tom Brookins in that game.
Be a big run if the Reds can get it here and make it a 3-run spread on a hit by Jay Bruce. Ball 1. Ball 3. Ryan Ludwig waiting. Red 7, Colorado 5. We're in the last of the 8th inning. And Bruce a 3-0 green light and chased a pitch down and away from him. Of course, Jay trying to right this ship. I'm not so sure that that is a pitch in a 3-0 zone where you're going to be able to drive it somewhere. On Bruce, and he rolls over foul, fielded cleanly over there by Billy Hatcher.
They're just trying to fight out that breaking ball right there and stay alive in the at bat is Jay Bruce.
comes Jim Tracy again. I don't know if I've ever seen a team that has been forced to make more visits to the mound and make more pitching changes than Jim Tracy and Bob Apodaca. So we'll take a break. Reds leading 7-5 with 2 on and 2 out, 1 out rather, and back with more in a moment. They have 2 on. The batter is Ryan Ludwig with 1 out, and Adam Ottavino takes over on the mound.
Yeah, he's been up about a week. He just got called up last Sunday. Picked up by the Rockies off waivers from the St. Louis Cardinals last year.
Ottavino did a nice job the other night. Big swing and a miss by Ryan Ludwig. That was on Friday, the opening game of this series.
Actually, Ottavino was picked up late April or early April of this year off of waivers. He's a big guy. Another guy like Matt Reynolds came in 6'5". Ottavino's a big guy, 6'5" as well. Goes a little across his body, gives right-handers a tough time to see it.
Double play ball here, so Ottavino gets the job done. 6-4 to 3, the first baseman, and that will end the inning. So here we go in the ninth. Reds lead by 2. Dog play of the game. Threw his bat at the ball, did Chris, or Todd Frazier, and he whacked it about 8-9 rows up in the left field seats.
You ever seen that before?
No.
I've seen it to the warning track. Dale Murphy did it off me one year, and the ball went all the way to the warning track. I've never seen a ball leave the yard. But Todd Frazier, a number of firsts for him this year. As it turns out, his home run very important in this ball game.
All right, here we go. Aroldis Chapman trying to get a save spanning an inning and 2/3. That would be his longest outing to pick up a save this year. Of course, he only has been the closer for exactly 1 week. It was 1 week ago today when he became the closer, saving that game at Yankee Stadium. Chapman 2 out of 2 since officially becoming the closer. He was charged with a blown save for not holding a lead in the 8th inning of the game this year. And Jason Giambi takes high, ball 1. All 7 Reds runs and all but 1 of their 8 hits came in the first 4 innings today against starter Jamie Moyer. Their offense has gone completely to sleep ever since. And Colorado has gotten back into this thing on 5 solo home runs. The only 5 base runners Matt Latos allowed in his 7 1/3 inning. And there's a strike. Three and 1 count on Jason Giambi. Full count. Reds 3 outs away from a 6-1 homestand. Cardinals have opened up their lead over Philadelphia 7-1, knocking out Roy Halladay in that one. That game in the top of the 6th inning. And that's ball 4, thrown all the way to the backstop.
And that looked like an attempt at a breaking ball right there by Chapman. It just slipped right out of his hands. Is that Guthrie running?
Yes. So the leadoff man aboard, and here's Michael Kadire. More than capable of tying this game on one swing of the bat. And Chapman has started this ninth inning in rather shaky fashion. A leadoff walk. The crowd right now feels a little uneasiness.
Yeah, well, I think they're watching a couple of things. Number one, little control problems, and also the radar gun readings. And Chapman, who's throwing his fastball in this inning, 92 and 93. I mean, he was throwing 98 last inning. I mean, it's not 94, which is what that last pitch was. Nothing to shake at. But when you're used to seeing Chapman up around triple digits, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that really gets a crowd all fired up.
Just under the knees at 96. Two and two on Michael Kadire. Line drive caught and no throw. Okay, that's how Guthrie, that's how guys, when you bring some pitchers in to come pinch running, and it's not saying that there aren't other guys, not just pitchers, but guys that don't run the bases much. I mean, he basically just fell right on top of his right shoulder right there. That wasn't a dive back, that was a fall forward back. Whereas Guthrie's already had an issue this year where he was riding his bike to the ballpark and the chain locked up on him. He went flying over the handlebars face first and wound up on the disabled list. He missed 3 starts at the end of April.
Here he is getting back.
That's a bounce back. Now Pacheco. Ground ball to short. They're going to have to hurry. Cozart, Phillips, the Reds. A 6-1 homestand, brother. And Chapman, an inning and 2/3 out of the bullpen. As the Reds go to 7 games over 500 for the first time this year. How about that? Latos the winner, 4-2. Chapman his 3rd save. Moyer the loser. At 2 up and 5 down.